Hello everybody, this is Chuck Carnevale, co-founder of FastGraphs, the fundamentals analyzer software tool, aka Mr. Valuation. Today's video is the second in a series of videos where I'm screening the entire universe of the market, looking at each sector individually, and I'm looking for valuation, see what kind of valuation we really have in this really extended market. I've talked about that in previous videos, where I do consider the overall S&P 500, really highly valued relative to historical norms and relative to fundamentals. But yet, it is a market of stocks and not a stock market. So within that market, there's always going to be individual stocks that can be found. So I put together a very simple screen here. And I've had some questions on the screening process I use, so I want to be real clear about it. I'm just trying to look for overall valuation here. One thing about screening and using the FastGraph screener, you can really use that screener to find just about anything your imagination can ask for, in terms of you can buy dividend stocks, certain yields, investment ratings, historical performance, historical dividend growth. You can do a lot of things with screenings, but what I did here is I created some very simple screens. So number one is I looked for BBB- rated companies. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing consumer discretionary. I'll tell you now, there were 500 investment grade consumer discretionary companies in the S&P 500, or in the overall market. No, excuse me, not the S&P 500. Of those, there are 130 that were investment grade, okay, BBB- or higher. So there were 500 consumer discretionary companies, 130 that were investment grade. And then when I screened, I did a very simple screen. I then also looked for earnings yield of 6%. And I was asked about that by one of the subscribers. Normally I like 6.5 or 7. I'm just trying to find companies that are at or near fair value here. This is a real simple screen. It's meant to be an overall general screen, not a specific screen. And then I looked for estimated total return of 5% or greater. I wanted to only identify companies that offered some rate of return potential, which leads me to my next subject that I really want to talk about. The idea of valuation is not about making the highest rate of return you can. And just because a stock is attractively valued does not simultaneously mean that it's going to be a good buy. You have to really pick stocks according to your investment objectives, your risk tolerances, growth potential, etc. But the one key to valuation is it's really about risk mitigation and prudence. You're trying to position yourself that if you've identified a company that you think is a good fit for your portfolio, then you want to make sure you buy that company at least at fair value, because that gives you the opportunity to participate fully in the business results, because that's ultimately what good long-term value investors are looking for. They're looking to partner with good businesses that meet their goals and objectives. Doesn't mean you're going to make a great deal of money unless the company itself is capable of making a great deal of money. That's what valuation is. It's really about controlling the risk. Now, if you can buy a stock when it's undervalued, then you're positioning yourselves to actually get some what I call natural leverage, to get to earn a little more than the company's capable. And if you overpay for a stock, then you're positioning yourself to earn less than the company's capable of delivering. That's what valuation is all about. It's about making prudent, common sense, long-term decisions. But again, you can make them with all different kinds of companies and different kinds of objectives. Now, when I ran the consumer discretionary screen, let's go ahead and go into the FastGraphs here. When I ran the consumer discretionary screen, this is the second video I've done covering the 11 sectors. I'll be doing consumer staples, energy, financials, and so on and so forth. All right, when I ran consumer discretionary, to repeat, there were 500 companies that are in the consumer discretionary screen that I ran. There are 130 of them that are BBB-. All right, but when I ran that screen for BBB- and used the other criteria of earnings yield of 6%, again, getting close, companies that were approaching fair value or already at fair value or better, and then companies that had an estimated return of 5%. I ended up coming up with 9 companies, okay? So in the screen I ran, the 9 companies I came up with are AutoNation, Best Buy, BorgWarner, D.R. Horton, H&R Block, Mohawk Industries, NVR, Toyota Motor, and Whirlpool. And, again, these are all discretionary companies, all right? Now, what's interesting is that if I look at this from a standpoint of the portfolio functionality, they're all in the same sector. However, if I go into portfolios here, and I've created these portfolios, and I go into consumer discretionary, Okay, and I look at my value view, which I created here. Okay, I've also got several sub-industry groups here within this consumer discretionary group. I've got automotive retail, computer and electronics, auto parts equipment, home building, internet and direct marketing retail, specialized consumer services with H&R Block, home furnishings with Mohawk, known for their carpets, Toyota for automobile manufacturer, and Whirlpool for household appliances. Now, these are all discretionary items for consumers, but they're all in that one total sector. But notice that I've got several subsectors here. But these companies also have very different characteristics. I'm going to go through them one at a time. And again, this is just an overview, kind of a high-level look at these companies. I'm not getting in too deeply into any one of these companies because I'm also trying to accomplish something else. I want you to see how diverse the stock market actually is. It's a market of stocks, not a stock market. And these companies each have different characteristics, and they have the ability to generate different types of returns. Some of them are dividend-paying stocks, some of them don't pay a dividend. And some of them are high growth, some of them are moderate growth. Some of them are, high quality, like Toyota at A+ rated. Others are, triple B+ rated. So they come in all different sizes and shapes, if you will. So let's go ahead and look at them. But they all are trading at or near fair value, and some of them actually undervalued. So let's start with AutoNation here, and let's look at AutoNation. And I want you to see the real relationship between the company's business and the stock price. You can see the operating earnings here, the orange line. I can put the normal PE on the graph, okay, which is the market value, how the market has been valuing the stock. And then the orange line would be more associated with the intrinsic value. And look how closely the stock price followed the company's operating earnings at a PE ratio of 15, which is the normal, fair value 6.66% earnings yield for the company. The inverse of the PE ratio is the earnings yield, which I consider to be the major valuation metric that you want to consider. Now you can see when a stock gets undervalued, when it gets below the orange line or even the blue market value line, it tends to move back into alignment. When it gets above it, it tends to move back in alignment. And this movement of back to alignment, this reversion to the mean, is what value investors are always looking at because it positions them. If it doesn't happen, they want to be looking for stocks that still give them an opportunity to make some money. But if it does happen, they get the financial leverage I referred to earlier. So when you look at AutoNation, you can see clearly now, cars with the COVID after the pandemic, you can see the really good business here. Used cars are trading at highest values they've ever traded at historically. So we had this anomalous period of time here where the stock is really, hitting its stride, if you will. Earnings growth has been phenomenal for the last couple of years. And the stock price has reacted to that. Again, the earnings determine market price concept. You can see that where the earnings of the company go, that's where the price goes. So if you're buying the stock when it's fairly valued in the last couple of years, your rate of return would be just absolutely awesome on this company over this short period of time. We measured it from March of 2019 to current. You can see that the results were really spectacular here. So anyway, the company is generating earnings and operating results, and the stock price is following that. Long-term performance of a company like this is going to relate pretty close to what the company's growth rate has been. That's something else that you want to note. So you've had about a 14.5% return on AutoNation. The historical growth has been about 13.11. And again, I'm measuring that at a time when the stock was slightly undervalued. I like to harp on that. Measuring performance without simultaneously measuring valuation is a job half done. Here's a case where because you bought the stock at below fair value, you got a greater return than the company actually generated on your behalf. If you overpay for the stock, you can end up earning less than the company is capable of generating on your behalf. That's just normal valuation principle. All right, let's move on to the next company and look how different the next company is. That's Best Buy. Best Buy is both it has a good growth component, average growth of 11.6%. Pays a 2.7% dividend currently, an earnings yield of almost 9.67%. The PE is just slightly below 10. And you can see the price has dropped here with they're expecting kind of a weak year in fiscal year 2022. So bottom line is, if you look at the stock closely, you can see how the price has really gone where the company's earnings gone. But there were several times where you had opportunities where the stock got very inexpensive, even relative to weakening earnings. You can see times when the stock got very expensive. In the short run, emotions determine market price. That's really a key message there. You can see when COVID came, we had the flash crash. The stock got very inexpensive, a great time to buy it. Now would also be a great time to be buying Best Buy. But once again, you see that the company's stock price goes where the company's earnings have gone. So Best Buy looks very attractive here, and it does pay a dividend. So if you're a dividend growth investor looking, for dividend growth, the company has a good dividend record, not great, but a good dividend record, double-digit dividend growth. And, over the last 10 years or so, it's been really good on the dividend growth rate. And you can buy the stock now at a very, very low valuation. And, you can see that it's following its earnings, and you can, buy the stock cheap. So you have a chance, if for it even to go to its normal fair value of around 12, you'd make a good deal of money. And if it goes up to 15, you'd make even greater money. So Best Buy looks very, very attractive here. That's the second one of these 9 companies. BorgWarner is very, very similar to what we saw with Best Buy, except it's a little more cyclical. The company did cut their dividend, or eliminate their dividend coming out of the Great Recession of 08 and 09. You can see that when the stock got overvalued, how it comes back into fair value. You can also see what you're looking at in terms of the type of company and what their dividend record has been. The white line on these graphs are the dividends. The dividend has grown, but it's actually been relatively flat here in recent years, okay? So when you're looking at a stock through the lens of a fast graph, you can really see what kind of company you're investing in. We've got a 1.4% dividend yield, really good growth expected for the next couple of years, and we really got attractive valuation in BorgWarner. So this would be one that, in the consumer discretionary that's available and could be interesting depending on whether you're looking for income, total return, growth, or what have you. The next one is D.R. Horton. D.R. Horton is a very low-yielding stock, less than 1%. Earnings yield is over 13%. This is a home builder. Home building has been really hot lately. It is expected to begin leveling off at some point. But houses have been really hot, and the stock has really performed beautifully in the last decade or so. You can see that, quite clearly the performance has outperformed the market, and it's averaged over 21%. A little bit of help from the dividend. This is primarily a capital appreciation story, but you buy the stock at a discount. You look at the stock at around a 12 PE. Normally, we would use the P equals growth rate when you have growth over 20% like that. That's why we drew the orange line like we did. But as you can see, the stock hasn't traded at that. Instead, the market is discounting its growth, giving it about a 12% growth rate, considering it a little bit, possibly a little bit of risk in there because, if you look at the stock long term, you can see that there has been, quite a bit of cyclicality. These stocks can get very cold. Coming into the Great Recession, the company didn't make any money and the stock price languished, heavily. So the next company I'm going to look at would be eBay. eBay has just started paying a dividend. I pay 1.9%. This has been really a growth story for most of the time. You look at the last several years on eBay, and the growth has been about 7%. It's slowed down quite a bit. If I shorten that to even shorter, you can see that growth has accelerated again, back up to about 15%. This company is not quite at the valuation I would like to see it, but it's getting close to fair value. It's just under that 6% screen that I ran. But you can see that the stock price has followed the earnings. So, this would be one to watch if you could get it below the orange and the blue line, which happen to be the same number here at about 15 times earnings. eBay could be a very attractive addition to your portfolio if you're looking for growth and capital appreciation. Long-term growth for eBay is expected to be double-digit, and current estimates are for good growth for next year and this year. But again, I'd like to buy this one a little cheaper if I could. So there's your eBay on the list here. Again, quite different than the other candidates that I've shown you so far. H&R Block. H&R Block is really not much of a growth story, pretty consistent. The dividend growth has been fairly attractive. Dividends have gone from 32 cents to $1.08, so it's primarily a dividend story. This is the tax preparer, but again, look how the relationship between earnings and price exists. When you're looking at stocks, don't just look at these statistics over here. Dividend yield 4.6%, earnings yield 13%. Buy it at less than 8 times earnings. All that looks very attractive, certainly for the short run. But when you're looking at the longer term aspects of this company, the analysts aren't expecting much growth. They are expecting more growth over time than they are, currently. But keep in mind, I want you to understand the nature of the beast. This gives you that extra insight. Is H&R Block worth investing now? Now, from a valuation perspective, it looks very, very attractive. From a performance perspective, the company is suspect. It's moderately cyclical and even low growing. So that's characteristics of the company you should know. Mohawk is a non-dividend paying stock. It's cyclical, but it's also growthy. You can see that during periods when it is growing, for example, since 2012, we've had almost 16% growth. You can see the stock price track that growth. When they hit a couple of bad years here coming prior to COVID and coming through COVID, the stock price languished. It got very, very inexpensive. Would have been a really good time to be buying it, and perhaps now would be another really good time to be buying Mohawk. But again, the nature of the beast here is, it's triple B plus rated, so it's a pretty good quality company. It's got a really good earnings yield today, no dividend. You can buy it under 12 times earnings. So if you're looking for capital appreciation, this could really foot the bill. And it's available as a consumer discretionary, which are very, very limited. There's not that many that are actually attractively valued, as I've been pointing out. Toyota Motor, the automobile manufacturers are really difficult. Toyota is probably one of the best from a standpoint of operating history and performance. You can see that since coming out of the recession, the growth of the company has been really exceptional. I can shorten this a little bit. You can see the relationship between price and market price. The market, has put a discounted valuation on it. You can get it with a 2% dividend yield. It's trading above its historical normal PE right now. So, that would be, if you were really looking for safety, you might want to look elsewhere temporarily or wait for it to get, cheaper. But long-term growth is, considered to be exceptional in this stock. So, things could be changing. This stock could be moving back into alignment with its more normal, valuations that you would normally expect to see with a company. And then Whirlpool, last but not least, household appliance manufacturer, washing machines, dryers, etc. The company's moderately cyclical, has good growth, slightly above average, 7.74%, 2.5%, 2.47% dividend yield, earnings yield over 11%. I consider this one really attractive now, currently for, good capital appreciation as well as dividend income potential. Longer term, it could also be, very attractive as a stock. So all these stocks have different characteristics. They have different attributes. They would fit different goals and objectives, and your job is to pick and choose. But the key message here is that valuation matters, and it matters a lot. The key is you don't want to invest in any company unless it's fairly valued or undervalued, in my humble opinion. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please, give me a like, ring the bell so you get notified of future videos. You might want to, subscribe to our channel. You might want to take a closer look at FastGraphs, the Fundamentals Analyzer software tool. And also, don't forget, we've now started our series on FastGraphs, free Value U Academy, where we teach finance and investing. We've had several videos out. We've got more videos coming. And also, go ahead and take a look at the previous video in this series that I've done. I'm going to be doing 11 all total here over the course of the next, couple of weeks. So anyway, this has been Chuck Harneveld saying thanks for watching. Talk to you again real soon.